I made a video asking for listener questions, and you guys did not disappoint. So I've got some questions to answer. This question about off-season training came up a couple different ways. I'll read through this question, and I think there's a bit to talk about. So let's see. Any thoughts on drills to work on during the off-season? The snow isn't far away here in the Northland, so training outside with multiple targets, movement, etc. won't be possible soon. So lots of dry fire, but then indoors, doubles, one-shot return, and some variation are its plans for indoors. But any other suggestions for good indoor drills would be appreciated. I think there's a lot of people in this situation, not even indoors, or not even during the winter, but just year-round. A lot of people that only have very restrictive range access. So what I will say, in my opinion, regardless of what shooting facility you have, whether it's indoor, outdoor, one bay, open range, kind of a whole bunch of stuff, really at the core, I'm not saying you couldn't use more fancy things, but in the end, you can really work on every aspect of your shooting in dry fire. And the one thing you really need ammo for is the confirmation and the marksmanship fundamentals. So the doubles, so predictive shooting, the reactive shooting, working on aiming schemes, all that kind of stuff is really the only thing you need ammo for. So if you're at an indoor range, whether that's all you have or just during the winter, I agree with the type of things you're talking about. So some examples or variations, doing the one-shot return. You don't have to do this thing it doesn't have to be excessive, but I think that's a good thing to check yourself on. If not every range session, just once in a while. It's something you should be doing. For people not familiar, all that means is you put an aiming reference in the target, you aim at that, you press the trigger once, and you just observe the way the sight comes back down. And does the sight bounce right back to where you're going? Does it lift and then slowly return back to your aiming reference? Does it shoot and then does it lift, then bounce under the target, and then come back up and stop? Maybe it lifts, it comes partway down, you switch your vision onto it, then you slowly return it to the aiming reference. There's a whole variety of things that it could be. And I think it's a good way to kind of calibrate your shooting. So just doing that, it doesn't have to even be a magazine. Maybe 5 to 10 rounds somewhere in your range session, or 4 rounds or so, and then you do doubles and do something else, go back and do the 4 rounds of it, anywhere along there. But what you're looking for is excessive input or insufficient input. Also paying attention to what your eyes do. So your eyes should snap right back to the target where you want bullets to go, or stay on the target. And if your eyes leave that aiming reference for just a minute or just a second and look up at the sight or check the target for holes or look at something else, wherever your attention could go, it's going to cause issues. Instead, you just stay looking there. The sight will lift. I'll stay looking. And at some point, it will come back down. It's like, don't look, don't look, don't look, don't look. And I'll wait for the sight to come back to where I'm looking. The tempting part is when the sight gets close. So example, the sight gets like to here. People want to shift their vision up, watch it, and then follow it gently the rest of the way down to the aiming scheme. Same thing could be said of multiple targets. So for example, I'm shooting 1, 2, 3, 4 targets, whatever, and I shoot a target over here and I start to look. And then if I'm just waiting for the sight to come over, it's like, oh, and then I'll watch the sight and I could track the sight the rest of the way. The target would not be the way you'd want to do it. Instead, I stay looking there. I see the sight, like, yup, it'll be there any second. Do not look, do not look. Okay, it's on the target. Now I'm good. So that's another thing that would be tempting to do, to look at the sight early, whether it's lifting and recoil or multiple targets. So the one-shot return is quite good. The doubles drill is obviously another favorite. Doing that at varying distances. And I won't say the distance you do is irrelevant. It's just important that the expectations change. For example, at about 7 yards or so, ideally, you'd love to have 1 bullet diameter. That's probably not doable for most people, most guns, but let's say you want it to be under a 50-cent piece for doing doubles at 7 yards. You want to try your very best to be inside there, maybe even under the size of a quarter, like the currency, a quarter. Then if you back up, let's say you're at 15 yards. What do you want? A fist size group, maybe even smaller. A fist size group, I'd be pretty happy with that. So you're looking at, achieving that. So the expectations just change based on the distance. And at a closer distance, I want to have like a little knot disappearing out of the target where I'm just stacking them all in one hole, would be the goal. The other one, another drill that I really like is the reactive shooting. So sight press. You'd be basically tying the, every time you press the trigger to a sight picture. What that means is you're deciding ahead of time what the sight should look like before you press the trigger, and then you're reacting to that. Examples would be stop, stable, dot. So kind of make your sight look like a bouncing ball. Maybe you just react to the color. So as soon as you see like the red from your dot, you start pressing the trigger. So it's just color. As soon as you see red, you're stacking shots on that. Or maybe it's something that says partial target, smaller target, farther away target, more difficult, whatever. And you want your sight to look more like a bouncing ball, where it's, you look at the target and it just bop, 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 bop. And every time it comes back down, you press the trigger, and super high accountability with that. So that's another drill I really like. Another one, you could use a single target and alternate between the lower and upper A zones. So you could go body, head, body, or head, body, head. So just working on kind of everything I've just described, doing the reactive shooting and the predictive shooting. So for the lower A zone, you just see the color, be rapid fire pair, shift your vision up to the head box, have the sight float up there. Once it gets to where you're looking, stop, stable, your dot starts to look like a dot, press the trigger, sight lifts, I'll just be patient, it comes back down. Once I see my sight a second time, then I press the trigger. So super high accountability for that. Then snap your eyes down to the lower A zone, bring the gun down to the lower A zone, and then another rapid fire pair. You could also do the reverse order, but it's just really tough to change up kind of the aiming schemes as well as your input to the gun, because people want to use the same input for all the shots. For example, it'd be like bouncing ball for the lower, the upper and the lower. So it's just bouncing ball the whole time you're shooting would be wrong, or just reacting to color for the upper and lower A zones, probably not going to give you the result you want either, unless you're really, really skilled or have a very, a very choice equipment. Then sometimes the gear will allow you to do that. But for most people with stock-ish guns, that won't be possible. Otherwise, for indoor shooting, I mean, that's really the gist of it. You could, depending on if your range allows you to draw from the holster, especially if you have an issue or you want to verify in dry fire that you're getting a good grip from the holster, you could just draw and shoot 2 shots, 4 shots, a bill drill, any of those types of variations. Professor Kim has a drill I really like. I think it's progressive return is the name of it, but it's 1 shot, 2 shot, 3 shot, 4 shot, then 5 shots. So it's 15 rounds for the drill. And I'll have to make a video on that, or maybe post a video of him doing the drill. But basically you're picking what aiming scheme you want to react to. So it's just color, bouncing ball, and then you're going to do that for every shot. So if it's color, it's 1, so it's example, 1 shot, 2 shots, bop, bop, 3 shots, bop, 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 4 shots, bop, 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 5 shots, and so on. But you're doing that while you're just like reacting to the color every time and trying not to push down the gun. When you get to the 4 and 5 shot and you really start to pull the trigger fast, it'll be tempting to change your input and have it move around. Or as you pull the trigger more and more, you're gonna push into the gun to stop the gun from recoiling or fighting into it. That's another thing that could happen. So like this person said, I think the gist of it is just marksmanship fundamentals drills. And if you're creative, as long as you're allowed to use something like a USPSA target, you could shift around between the lower A zone, the upper A zones, and actually get a lot out of it. So kind of doing a gear change type of drill, as well as just working on perfecting your grip. Then you could tie what you're gaining from that, the sight confirmation, and from the way your grip is working or not working, back to your dry fire and make sure you're building good habits for the way you grip the gun. So that'd be effective for off-season training, but during the year, if you don't have access to an outdoor facility to train, this would get you there as well. While we're talking about off seasons, just for people not familiar, I do think it's a good idea to take some time off. A couple weeks, a month and a half, somewhere around there. For most of my competitive shooting career, I would take probably all of December and maybe the first week or two of January off, or maybe the last couple weeks of November off, and then pick it back up again a couple weeks in or a week into January. So during that time, I could be doing other things gun related, such as I really need to take my press apart and clean it, but I really don't want to, or I really need to take all my guns apart and clean them. For example, I remember doing that one year where I had maybe 4 or 6 Walther PDPs at the time. So a couple steel, a couple poly guns. It's like, well, they're all to the point they could probably use, a deep cleaning. So just one at a time, take the guns out, take the slides off, pull the barrel out, take just the guide rod, not farther than that, but just knock out all the loose crud and just drag something through the barrel and make sure everything's kind of the loose chunks of stuff are all knocked out, thin coat of oil, put it back together. So nothing that took a super long time, but by the time you do a couple guns, and depending on how meticulous you want to be, it could take time. So it's just kind of knocking those kind of admin things out during the off season, as well as I would just take time to play video games with the homeboys or do family stuff, because Thanksgiving, Christmas, that kind of stuff where you might have a lot being pulled in a lot of other directions. So it just makes it less stress if you're not worried about training. So hopefully all that stuff makes sense, answers your question at least. I think I got through all the specific questions, parts of this question, but there's a couple other like it. So hopefully that answers the questions you have. If I missed anything or you have any follow-up questions, feel free to drop them below in the comments. Some I can answer easily with a sentence or two, I will. Otherwise, I'll just make myself a note and I will make another video talking about it. So appreciate you watching. Like, share, subscribe, all that garbage, and hope you have a great day.